Radio DoJo. DJ Doobie with you here. Just another quick tutorial. This one is going to show the software that I'm transitioning over to so that I can use it to make better quality programs. In the past I've made over 2-hour long pre-recorded programs to post online. And I do apologize up front about using a USB webcam microphone for the narration of this video. Normally I use the better quality microphone and the better quality sound card that's on the DJ computer, but I'm on the other computer right now. And this is just a picture right now, but I'm going to switch over to my monitor view. And right now you're just seeing the... go ahead and get rid of some of this stuff that's on the screen here. I can't get rid of that because that's the file that's actually being recorded right now. So let's try this. Go ahead and move these out of the way. There we go. Okay, so I'll get rid of the software that's actually recording this. And now you should just be able to see my desktop. And the first thing I'll try to bring up here is the program that I used to use to make all my specials. And any pre-recorded bits or sound effects or bumpers or to edit voicemail messages, things like that. It's called Acoustica MP3 audio mixer, not Acoustia, but Acoustica. And there was a predecessor to this program that's been around since I believe 96, 97, maybe even prior to that, called Internet Audio Mix. And it's just a very quick and simple tool to drag and drop audio files, cut, copy, paste, just kind of like the simple things that you would do with a text processor like the WordPad program that comes with Windows, but for audio. So for example, let's go ahead and bring up a sound effect. Let's see, just so I can show you the capabilities of this program. And it was great for doing the things that I wanted to do at the time, but it seems to become more limited as I try to do more things with audio. So this was the gist of the program, basically. It allowed you to manipulate audio in several different ways. You could lower the volume with these markers here. You could cut out a piece of the audio if you didn't want it. But it had very basic things that you could actually do to the audio itself. It has the volume that I just showed you. It has the ability to pan the audio, which would move it from left to right, which isn't exactly what I needed in this case. And it had the ability to change the rate of the audio, to speed it up or slow it down, to give it the chipmunk effect or the Darth Vader effect. So what I needed to actually do, though, is I needed to input effects on the audio itself so that once I mixed the audio and processed it into a file, it would actually have those effects on it. So I'll show you the example of what I needed to do. So that's all we're going to look at here for Acoustica MP3 audio mixer. And so what I did was started to look at other programs. There's Ableton that allows you to edit clips. There's Pro Tools. There's Fruity Loops. There's lots and lots of programs that are considered digital audio workstations that allow you to process and manipulate audio in different ways. So what I decided to go with is Mixcraft. The main reason I decided to go with it is because it's not too overloaded with bells and whistles that I don't need, and also it's made by the same company, Acoustica. So it works in a similar fashion. There are some things that are slightly different about it, but for the most part it works almost identical to the program that I just showed you a moment ago. So let's go ahead and talk about the reason why I needed to change software. For example, this is what I was looking for. I'm going to make a podcast that's a countdown. And I think I'm only going to make it 10 songs. You know, try to make it short and sweet, not a top 40 show that's 2 hours, 3 hours long. So this is, I went to a website called freesound.org, and you should really check that website out if you're looking for, if you do anything with sound, or if you need to add sound effects to a video that you're making, just anything like that. So this is what I did. I did a search on freesound.org for a countdown. And I found several. I found one with a woman, one with a few with women, a few with men, and out of all the male voices, this is the one that really stood out to me.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So I just like the presence of his voice. I like the timbre in his voice. I liked everything about it. It has that kind of radio countdown quality that I like. And so what I wanted to do was apply an effect to it. What the previous program lacked is what this program gives me the ability to do. So if you hit the FX button on this particular channel, you can put different effects on different channels, or you can put an overall effect over all the channels. But I just want to apply something to this individual sound clip itself of the guy doing the top 10 countdown. And so the plugin I'm going to use is called Speakerphone. And we'll bring up the control window for that. And hopefully this old computer that I'm doing the video on isn't lagging too badly so that you're able to see most of what I'm doing. It might stop and start from time to time once I have more things on the screen that I'm working with. So this is something that I showed in the last video that I just posted. And let me go ahead and show you what it does. Right now it's on a telephone process, so it's going to make it sound like he's talking through an old telephone.
10, 9, 8, 7.
And that's not the effect that I wanted. The effect that I want is a delay. So what we can do is go into the effects, and I'm familiar with this one particular section because I've used it a lot. So this is the delay effect that I like. And we can get rid of the control window because we don't need it any longer. And this is what it sounds like with the delay applied to the sound.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
So it gives you more of that stereo separation sound, which is commonly called, I'm trying to remember exactly because I've looked up a bunch of information about it, radio imaging, where it makes very good use of the stereo sound, especially if you're listening through headphones or a stereo source that has the speakers far enough apart where you can really hear the separation in the sound from left to right. So now that we've applied that to it, I wanted to take each number one at a time because that's how I'm going to use it when I make a countdown show. I'm going to talk about song number 10, then I'm going to play a clip that says 10, and then the song is going to play. So I don't need 9 through 1, I don't need all of the other stuff that's in this soundbite. I just need number 10 right here that he's saying. So what we'll do is we've removed all the other numbers, we've removed the dead air from the beginning here, and we also want to make the clip about 4 seconds long to give time for the audio to trail out. And I'm going to put a point here. This is how it works a little bit differently than the other program I was talking about. So we add a point here, and we're going to change the volume of this last part to 0. So that way it will be dead air for the echo to trail off on, but you won't hear the 9, 8, and 7 that's showing up right here. So let's go ahead and listen to what this sounds like.
10.
And that gives plenty of time for the echo to trail off. The next thing we want to do, now that we've got that sounding the way that we want it, most of the time it's not just the number that you're going to hear, it's a little bit of a sound effect before or after, or sometimes both, before and after. So what I wanted to do is put a sound effect before it and after it. So the sound effect that we just used when I showed you the old software that I used to use, we'll go ahead and put that there so that it leads into the number 10. We'll listen to how that sounds now.
10.
Okay, so I'm liking that so far. I just want to move where he says 10 in a little bit closer to where the sound effect trails off. And then we want to add an effect. Actually, I want to go ahead and bring up the level of the number 10 when it echoes and trails off. Bring that up a little bit higher and make sure that's cut off there at the end. And now we want to, since I was working with this before, I'm familiar with what some of these sound effects are. Some of them I've never heard. So in the third track, we're going to load the sound that's going to trail at the end of it. And like I mentioned, I've already worked with it, so that I already know there's a piece here at the beginning that I don't want. And I also know that I want it to fade in slowly so that it doesn't cut off what he's trying to say, which is just basically the number 10. but we want to make sure that it tries to slowly ramp up right when he's finishing saying 10 and the echoes are trailing out. So I think we've got everything just the way that it should be right now, and let's go ahead and listen to what the full processed clip should sound like.
10.
Okay, so that was a little bit of a train wreck because it was kind of overlapping too much, so we want to move this out and give it a chance to echo 10 a couple times before the final trailing effect comes in.
10.
Great, and that's a great way for it to lead into the next song. Now, the only other problem with this clip is that right here at the end, if the song kicks in and it's really loud at the beginning, a lot of songs have a really cold, I'm trying to think what's called, cold or warm start to it, where it just comes in really hot. And so we want to make sure that this audio clip remains loud. Even though it's supposed to trail off, we're going to kind of manually do a normalization of this part of the audio to normalize the sound so that we don't allow it to trail off. We pump it up to make it loud so that it stays loud and continues that way. Even though the nature of the audio itself is that it's going to trail off anyway, at least we've pumped it up as high as we can possibly pump it up so that hopefully you still hear some of the effect over the beginning of the song. We don't want any dead air when we're doing a podcast or a live show, so we'll go ahead and listen to the entire clip now. You know, all in all, it's ended up only being a 7-second clip, and then once it's added to a program, you'll talk over a little bit of the first part of it, and the song will start at a little bit of the last part of it, so only about 5 seconds of it's going to be actually heard. But this is just what goes into making some of the sounds that you hear during a podcast or a radio station, anything that you listen to like that.
10.
So that's the final product. That's what we want to go ahead and save, and then we can use it in our podcast. And that's just a brief overview. So we switched from the old program that didn't have as much capabilities to this program, and it's working out pretty well for me so far. I still have a lot more to learn about it, and there's going to be more tutorials as we go along, but for right now, I appreciate you watching. And one other thing I'll mention right at the end of the video, even though I know the videos go on long when I talk, but once the live shows start again on September 27th, 2014, we're going to be at RadioDoJo.blogspot.com. If you go to that page on your laptop or desktop, that's what it's made for because it has a lot of Flash on that page. So if you know what Flash is, that's something that typically you can only see on a laptop or a desktop. If you need to listen just to the audio, you can listen on a mobile device or a tablet at radiodojo.caster.fm. And that previous website that I mentioned, if you go on a laptop or desktop to radiodojo.blogspot.com, it has a lot of links there for sites that are part of the Radio DoJo show, and it's going to be sites like Twitter, Instagram, and the archives page where these podcasts are going to be saved. It gives you a quick link to jump right to the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/RadioDoJo. There's also a Facebook group page, which is facebook.com/groups/RadioDoJo. And so all the information's there. Check out the website if you get a chance. But for right now, I appreciate you watching this video, and hopefully there will be more to come. Radio DoJo, DJ Doobie.